So with that, we'll quickly move into the case studies section. We have lined up 2 case studies today. So just to give you 2 different flavors, we picked up one a migration case study, and then another one a new product development. So let's first look at the migration case study. So this is from a customer called Envision. So Envision is a customer based out of Germany, and they are one of the leading software providers in the workforce management. So their product is used to manage large workforces, keeping track of the tasks and keeping track of the time, and typical workforce related features, management features. Now this customer was in the process of moving to the cloud computing model. So they want to get rid of the initial investment of hardware and software which their customers have to make, and also reduce their implementation time drastically. That way they can roll out the product much faster to their customers and be able to also target the small and medium segments of customers. So in short, they wanted to build a very high configurable multi-tenant SaaS solution in order to achieve these goals. And after their own analysis of the various options they have and the various maturity models that are in place, so they decided to take a 2-phased approach. The first phase targeting maturity level 2, where they would want to have their solution standardized. So there is a single code which kind of services all the tenants, but then it might be replicated. So each customer may have their own copy of the instance running, and then it serves that particular customer. However, the customization or implementation is done in a configurable way instead of any hard coding. The second phase is about moving. Now the first phase will allow them to move to a SaaS model at least quickly. So it's like a stepping stone so that they can start getting customers on board on the new SaaS model. While they do that, parallelly they can start the phase 2, which involves moving module by module into a maturity model level 4, where they convert the modules to multi-tenant and then bring in more configurability into the product. And in order to achieve the migration or the phase 2, which is moving to maturity level 4, they were in the process of looking out for a multi-tenant SaaS framework which could make their job much easier, so that they can easily move the product from level 2 to a level 4 kind of a scenario. And it could also serve as their engineering foundation for some of their other products. So, when Envision came to about Excello, they were already in the process of building their own framework, and an elaborate evaluation exercise also happened with Excello. They evaluated the framework and looked at various aspects in it. So they finally decided to do a small POC to determine how much of it is applicable for them and how much of it can really benefit their project. And as part of the POC, there was also a rigorous performance benchmarking effort that went in to ensure that the huge workload workforce management is being able to actually handled by the framework. So as an outcome of the POC, Envision was able to make a decision that the framework that they came across was useful, and they decided to go ahead using CelloSaaS framework instead of developing everything from scratch at their end, because they don't want to reinvent the same wheel again and again. So they went ahead and had close to around 30 developers to work on this project, and we kind of helped them in terms of doing an online training program to get used to the framework, because the developers are new to the multi-tenant part of it, and they want to know how to utilize these various APIs and various modules. So the training program helped them in terms of getting up to speed, and they were able to quickly move to the level 2, the phase 1, which is maturity model level 2, where the Amazon instances were used to serve each of the customers. And as they were working on it, they also worked on the building a central server, which kind of formed as the central authentication and a redirection server, where the tenants are created, registered, and all the settings related to the tenant are maintained in the central server. And then once they get authenticated, they are redirected to the appropriate instance that serves that particular customer. So this is a pictorial representation of that. So the central application instance had the user privilege, tenant data, and also all the services which can be consumed by these various instances, and the routing services pointing to the appropriate instance. So when the tenant logs in, they get authenticated, and their appropriate settings are passed on to the instance, and that respective instance starts serving that tenant. So that was the first case study. The second was another case study. As I said, it comes under the category of new product development. The second was a US-based firm that was dealing with the benefit administration services. So they process more than like 60 million records for eligibility verification, and they deal with close to around 700 million in healthcare premiums, and overall they manage close to around 450 vendor and carrier relationships. So Sequoia had a need to replace their existing benefit administration management system. So it's basically a service that they offer to their end customers, and the system itself is used to deliver the service. So it's not exactly a product which has been used by the end user as it is, but then it's a suite of product, a platform that they have, which is used by several people, several stakeholders, right from end customer, end organization, end user, which could be the employees of the organization, and it's also used by the comms, which could be people on the phone. So for example, if I want to make my own selection of benefits I want to claim, I can even make a phone call to a representative, and then the representative can do it on behalf of me, can make the changes on the platform. So the overall process is collecting and consolidating this various benefit data, setting data from the employees, and then consolidate and send it back to the parent organization, and the organization HR system consumes this information to finally identify how much should be deducted and how much should be passed on as benefit to the employee. So the current system, they had multiple issues. One, it was pretty old system. It was built a long time ago, and then it was not able to scale up. And it was also done at different points in time, so there were different technologies that were put in place, and there was duplication of functionality happening all through the years, and different places the same logic gets repeated. So when your business process changes, then you have to go and repeat it in multiple places. And one of the biggest bottlenecks they had was the scalability issue, where they were not able to scale beyond 300 concurrent users. And as this customer was approaching very large end user organizations, and given the fact that some of this benefit administration happens on a certain period or a certain point in time, for example, like we have an appraisal system sometime in March, April, so the benefit administration also happens at a certain point in time over a year, which means during that 4 weeks or 5 weeks, the entire employee supported in the system are going to be logging in or accessing the system to specify their own benefit administration. So the peak load during that 4 or 5 weeks period is going to be extremely high. So the system should be able to support that load, while the rest of the year it's not going to be that high, but still this one peak load has to be supported. So they were expecting it to go as much as from 300 concurrent users to almost 3,000 to 4,000 concurrent users. That's like a 10x straight jump from what they are currently handling. And also, since many of the processes are done through backend, so they write small utilities, and there were a lot of small applications that were developed. So it was not done in an orchestrated manner. So it was all done in bits and pieces. And the biggest problem, bigger problem of the inconsistency in terms of the rules that they have to create for various customers. So like I mentioned, being benefit administration, the policy or the formula for calculating, say, what is my dental benefit could completely vary from one organization to another organization, right? And also the criteria that you may set for a certain eligibility. For example, I can say employee should be greater than 30 and should be grade A or B and should have been within the company for more than 5 years. So this could be a combination of criteria which can determine whether somebody is allowed for a dental plan. So like this, the other company may give their own set of criteria. So you end up supporting multiple rules for multiple customers, and sometimes within the same customer you will have to deal with multiple rules for various segments of people. So the rules processing was one of the most complex tasks and most error prone also, because all these rules were processed manually by writing some utilities. So it was creating a lot of issues from an error perspective. So Aspire was involved with this customer in terms of putting together a new platform in place which could help them address all the challenges we saw. And they proposed Texelo's SaaS framework as a platform which they can use as a launching bed and start building the silos of services that they are planning to do. So a set of BAs and TAs, tech arts and business analysts formed together to discuss on the outlining the NFRs and the high-level goals of the application. And the entire requirements were conceptualized over a period of 5 months. And after going through analyzing the various features that are available in the framework and the features required for the product, they concluded that the framework is going to be saving them almost 30% of their time and cost, and almost 100% match in the NFRs whatever they have outlined. And given that it's a time-tested solution, they were also ready to go ahead. So a 20 people team was put on developing this product. We were completely trained and equipped with the framework knowledge to work on this application. Some of the key aspects on the solution front, the tenant management part, like we saw on the SaaS operations front, they were able to use it straight out of the box. They don't have to develop that functionality. Package management to determine which customers get what services can also be done straight out of the box. And then supporting this granular level of security. So in some companies they have n level of hierarchy, in some companies the hierarchies are less. So you should be able to specify granular level of control, saying this particular user, this particular role can now do this operation, can see this kind of data. So the security framework that was available in the Cello SaaS was able to meet that requirement very well. And tenant hierarchy came into picture to address large customers where the policies itself may differ from region to region. So they may have one leave calculation policy or benefit policy for the US and another benefit policy for UK. So it would completely vary within the same tenant. So tenant hierarchy was able to meet that requirement by representing each geography as a tenant. So there were close to 4 or 5 silos of applications that were built using the platform using the framework as the platform itself. So this is an outcome of the project itself. So earlier it used to be only technical persons who are dealing with the domain as well, being able to change this, do system level changes, but then now a domain expert can just go use the administration screens and change it by themselves. And then configuring new clients took almost 3 months, primarily because of the manual effort required in preparing small utilities, as well as due to the nature of work, it's highly error prone, so it goes into rework and then cycles of rework. So all of that leading to almost 3 months. But then with the new system completely automated, it took almost 3 days to configure a new client. So it's almost from 3 months to 3 days. And the old system, manual configuration of the business process was involved, and then very complex and disparate rules. Each customer, the way it was handled was different. And then there was a heavy dependence on direct backend updates. So a lot of changes were done on the backend itself, which is leading to manageability issues. So with the new system in place, they're able to uniformly address these things. Many of the things are templatized, so you don't have to do it differently. And because of the various models available, the dependency on the IT team as well as for any backend updates was totally removed. And even an operational manager with less technical skills can go ahead and handle the system without any further support. So that's all we have for today's session.